From 2007 until 2011, she was a co-founder of Daystar TV with Marcus and Joni Lamb, so she had a front row seat to everything that happened at the network and within the Lamb family. The shocking revelations made by investigative journalist Julie Roy led to Joni Lamb's dismissal from Daystar when these accusations surfaced. Lamb has presented herself for years as modest and forthright, but new paperwork, financial records, and breathtaking images of mansions expose a secret life. Fans of Daystar are shocked by the scandal, and many are wondering why Joni Lamb was fired and what she was hiding. The complete account of her fall will be revealed soon. Everyone was confused about the veracity of the rumors that circulated shortly after Joni Lamb's dismissal from Daystar. Everyone wanted answers, the fans, the churchgoers, and anyone else who had any stake in the matter. The rumor mill was full of details about the shocking revelations made by investigative journalist Julie Roy regarding Joni's personal life. A lot more went into Joni's abrupt firing than what was initially apparent, according to whispers. Mystery bonuses, covert wire transfers, and the dubious use of church donations were some of the things that allegedly Joni had been trying to cover up for years. Contrary to her usual modest lifestyle, rumors suggested that Joni secretly spent charity funds on an extravagant lifestyle, amassing opulent homes, mansions, and estates. Some were even more outspoken, claiming that Julie Roy had discovered proof of deep-seated animosity and disagreements between Joni and Daystar's leadership. Rumor has it that powerful people at Daystar saw Joni as a liability or threat, and so they fired her. Some fans went so far as to believe that Joni's career was deliberately doomed because envious competitors leaked damaging information to Julie Roy. We returned from our honeymoon in July. Incidentally, I was going to ask you a question regarding the $100,000 0 cents that Daystar paid for it, but I wanted to clarify that none of that money went toward our honeymoon. Sure, that's just another deception floating around. A second widely held belief was that Joni had been leading a double life for quite some time. She supposedly enjoyed a lavish lifestyle behind closed doors while meticulously cultivating an image of chastity and modesty in public. The internet was awash with rumors that Joni frequently attended private parties, resided in posh areas, and took first-class trips around the world while openly advocating chastity and simplicity. The very idea that the woman they held in such high esteem could have deceived them for an extended period of time made the fans feel betrayed. According to the most enigmatic rumors, Julie Roy possessed additional, as yet undisclosed evidence, something potentially explosive. Concerned about Julie's other discoveries, many were on edge. As they awaited further details, the congregation in the church grew anxious. The rumors were an effort to tarnish Joni's reputation, according to her ardent admirers. They claimed Julie Roy was accusing Joni of using sensationalism to increase her fame and was possibly going after her personally. Although the facts remained a mystery, the situation became increasingly intriguing as rumors circulated. Everyone was talking about Joni's abrupt departure, and many were arguing about whether or not the rumors were true and whether or not Joni was the victim of false accusations or a simple misunderstanding. Everyone was eager to hear what happened next because the unknown stoked even more curiosity and conjecture. In today's world, hundreds of individuals spend their days answering phones in a room filled with cubicles. Calls from donors were handled by the prayer department, but every once in a while, the number of calls exceeded the capacity of all company phones. In the midst of an exceptionally high call volume, I answered the phone to the heartbreaking story of a little elderly woman who was telling me that she was completely out of money. She had one remaining credit card balance and planned to donate it to Daystar because she had heard on the radio that if you gave $11,000 0 cents, the sensation of running that card number is indescribable. It felt completely wrong. Am I a part of this? Is this the kingdom of God? I asked myself for the first time at that moment. The answer was no. Please, Tell me how you intend to defend that to God." Everyone took notice when investigative journalist Julie Roy finally addressed Joni Lamb. Julie was known for her knack for revealing previously unknown information. Julie was well respected and respected for her work. They were aware that she would double-check any information before sharing it. This gave Julie's statements considerable weight. As dozens of reporters, television cameras, and curious onlookers milled about her, she maintained her composure. It was clear from her expression that this was a pivotal moment. Beginning with great care, she clarified that her intention was never to cause harm. Rather, she aimed for honesty and responsibility at all times. The public should know the truth about those in authority and the trust they have, Julie emphasized. What she had learned about Joni Lamb's underhanded financial transactions was subsequently begun to be explained by her. Julie presented Joni with private salary documents and photos that contradicted his public statements about his lifestyle. The documents showed unexplained salary, she said, wage rises, incentive pay, and clandestine monetary transfers. There were major concerns regarding the integrity and transparency of Daystar caused by these previously undisclosed financial dealings, which seemed suspicious. Julie also brought up the topic of Joni's secretly acquired expensive homes and properties. Carefully edited photographs of mansions in posh neighborhoods, complete with pools, lush landscaping, and opulent furnishings, were shown by the reporter. Joni had always advocated for a modest lifestyle in public, but these properties were the antithesis of that. Fans of Joni, who had taken her portrayal of modesty for granted, were among those who were shocked to see the photos. Julie clarified that this wasn't a coincidence by noting that the dates of Joni's purchases of these costly homes precisely matched those of the financial records. Julie had an air of professionalism and composure throughout her statement. With great detail, she detailed the steps she had taken to verify each piece of evidence. For months, Julie had been in close contact with anonymous Daystar staff who were certain that something was amiss. Julie had a reputation for being fair and meticulous, so these insiders trusted her. They believed the truth needed to be revealed, so they put their jobs on the line to give her the secret records and documents. Julie further elaborated on how taken aback these insiders were by the revelations. They detailed Daystar's culture of secrecy, which included the strict control and concealment of financial records. Because of this cover-up, troubling financial decisions went unpunished for a long time, as Julie pointed out. There was an immediate and strong reaction to Julie's revelations because many people had faith in the organizations that had stolen their money. Investigative journalists were interested in learning whether other Daystar executives were aware of Joni's clandestine financial dealings and how long she had been leading this life. Carefully returning to her main point, Julie patiently addressed every question that came her way. Truth and accountability necessitated this investigation, which was not biased. Churchgoers and internet users alike were swift to respond to Julie Roy's public statement with heated debate. I needed time to think about that email because I was so angry when it came in. I couldn't respond right away. I summoned you along with 2 other ministers and a revered prophet. Because you've always been the go-to guy for daily updates, I contacted you and filled you in on what went down. As I'm introducing Doug to the audience, I wanted to take a moment to express my enjoyment of watching ministry with Jan's new husband, Dr. Wise. We've received a lot of feedback about this. They look stunning together and he seems wonderful. Additionally, I adore seeing the Daystar singer perform songs like No Fear with a variety of performers. That's incredible. Joni, I hope your marriage to a... After I informed you about it, Jonathan sent me the email that I allowed you to read because they refused to read it. Julie received both positive and negative responses. Some praised her for courageously exposing hidden truths, while others criticized her for sharing private information with the public. Some thought Julie might have lied or misunderstood the documents she had presented, while others suggested Julie had personal reasons like jealousy or a need for attention. Many openly admired Julie's commitment to honesty and transparency. saying she was doing the right thing even though it was hard and unpopular. Some felt Julie had no business smearing Joni's good name, and they questioned whether there wasn't a more discreet way to have dealt with the situation that wouldn't have generated as much heat. However, Julie's backers were adamantly opposed, arguing that Joni, as a public figure and spiritual leader, had an obligation to live an honest and transparent life, and that the facts spoke for themselves. They said that Julie's revelations weren't meant to damage someone's reputation, but to promote accountability and honesty, and that Joni's shock and overwhelm would have been understandable if she hadn't had anything to hide. In response to these charges, Julie stated that her job was difficult, contentious, and essential at all times. She warned that it was detrimental to conceal unpleasant facts, particularly when influential people were involved, and emphasized the significance of being truthful. Furthermore, Julie emphasized that leaders ought to be judged according to the principles they advocate for in public. She repeatedly insisted that her investigation was not an attack on Joni personally, but rather an effort to bring those in positions of power and influence to account. Many were left wondering, following Julie's public statement, whether Joni Lamb would ever be able to restore her reputation. In all candor, would she own up to the issues and face the fallout from her covert existence? Would she instead defend Julie's assertions by denying the accusations and arguing that the evidence was unfairly presented or misunderstood? The air of mystery thickened. Julie Roy was well respected for her courageous reporting and her thoughtful analysis. Even Julie's most ardent fans were secretly curious about her knowledge and whether or not there was more damning evidence that hadn't surfaced yet. Julie had left the door open to the possibility that additional evidence, documents, and disturbing details could still be discovered. Some were wondering if this was the beginning of a much larger scandal, and others were watching with bated breath. At the end of her statement, Julie emphasized one last point. Her investigation showed that everyone was accountable for their acts, regardless of how well liked or esteemed they were. The public looked on leaders to uphold high standards of integrity, both in and out of the public eye. Finally, Julie expressed her hope that her revelations would people to exercise greater caution and consideration when deciding to back someone. As soon as Julie left the microphones, there was stunned silence and many questions went unanswered. As Julie finished speaking, the reporters began yelling questions demanding further details, but she had already covered all of her ground. Joni Lamb's previously concealed life was exposed as the proof became public knowledge. As a result, everyone was eagerly anticipating the next development. There was an immediate deluge of responses when Julie Roy dropped the bombshell on Joni Lamb. Those who had put their faith in her for so long were shocked, upset, and devastated. She was admired for her modesty and humility by many, but now they know she had a secret admirer. Angry, disappointed, and sad comments flooded Joni's former admirers' social media accounts, with many fans expressing feelings of betrayal. Some admirers were astounded to hear that Joni Lamb, who preached simplicity and honesty in her public appearances, was actually living the high life behind closed doors. It was said that Julie Roy was either trying to damage Joni's reputation, was exaggerating, or misinterpreting the evidence. They were certain that there had to be an error. Posting videos, comments, and messages, they vehemently defended Joni, stating that they would not believe the accusations until they were proven. The scandal, in their view, was unjust, and they cautioned people against basing their decisions on rumors. On the other hand, there were plenty of people who felt differently. Many were shocked and upset because they believed Julie Roy's evidence proved Joni was dishonest. After years of believing in Jani and her words, they felt betrayed by her actions and couldn't trust her anymore. These former fans vented their disappointment and hurt, and some even felt foolish for believing her modest public image. They also wanted to know how Joni could preach humility, modest living, and honesty while secretly enjoying expensive homes and a lavish lifestyle. All the while, the public outcry for her was growing. Demands for Joni's accountability increased as word of Julie's investigation spread. Numerous commenters on social media urged her to either publicly explain her actions, offer a sincere apology, or step down from her position. The meaning of honesty and integrity was the subject of heated fan debate. Silence, according to many, only served to exacerbate the situation, so Joni should have apologized and explained herself. Some people questioned the feasibility of forgiveness. Even though Joni had been keeping everything from her followers for so long, some felt her actions were too serious to forgive so easily. Others, however, believed that everyone should be given a second chance. The news had a disproportionately profound impact on religious communities. Sermons and group discussions among church leaders often included direct references to the issue. Worldwide, religious leaders discussed Joni Lamb's case openly, highlighting the importance of transparency and responsibility, particularly among religious leaders. Passionate debates ensued in various gatherings as attendees sought to understand how an idol could have maintained such a double life. The community's faith in leadership and Joni's reputation were both deemed damaged by her covert actions, according to the arguments. Immediate action was taken by some fans. Online petitions were created requesting accountability from Daystar for allowing such financial secrecy within their organization. With their signatures, thousands of people demanded greater transparency and a full audit of all financial documents. These Daystar fans were adamant that Joni wasn't the only one at the center of the scandal. They felt it revealed systemic issues within the company and cast doubt on the leadership's integrity and financial acumen. A lot of people thought something had to give in order to prevent the same thing from happening again. Still, some people weren't furious. People felt bad for Joni because they assumed she had lost her way or was too stressed out by all the attention and demands placed on her. The kind-hearted admirers argued that we should all be empathetic and understanding because we all messed up sometimes, claiming that public figures endure immense pressures that the general public lacks comprehension. They urged others not to pass judgment on Joni too hastily. Their empathetic pleas prompted others to demonstrate. People demonstrated compassion by speculating that Joni may experience genuine remorse for her actions and seek forgiveness and redemption in due course. Internet users, churchgoers, employees, and friends and family members discussed forgiveness and second chances as the compassion vs. accountability debate raged on. Although many felt that Joni ought to face consequences for deceiving the public, they differed on the severity of those consequences. The community was confronted with challenging inquiries regarding trust, treachery, and forgiveness. Is it more appropriate to swiftly pardon a leader who erred or to remove them from office permanently? Public outcry was exacerbated by the media's coverage. Podcasts, talk radio shows, and news programs all covered the story. Experts, pastors, and community leaders were constantly prompted by the scandal to discuss the implications of Jan's downfall for religious leadership. A number of authorities voiced their concerns about the dangers of secrecy, advising businesses worldwide that scandals and damaged reputations are inevitable outcomes of avoiding public scrutiny. While some questioned the ethics of investigative journalism, others lauded Julie Roy for her bravery and expertise, and yet others claimed that Roy had crossed the line by publicly humiliating Joni without properly comprehending her hardships, exposing private matters without necessity. As she remained silent, the public's reaction intensified. Her fans were perplexed and irritated by her silence, which many mistook for guilt over the possibility that someone would do something bad. While some suggested she publicly defend herself right away, others suggested she needed space and time to collect herself before answering publicly, citing the possibility that she was genuinely overwhelmed by everything that was happening. Many people have strong views on how famous people should deal with scandals, and Joni's decision to remain silent only added fuel to the fire. Notable individuals and religious figures also shared their thoughts on the scandal, praying for Joni and urging her followers to be compassionate and understanding were two ways some publicly supported Joni. They admonished their followers to be patient, to acknowledge that we all make mistakes, and to know that genuine forgiveness is possible.